Hi everyone, welcome back. Yeah, you can see we're in the room, but only for part of the episode. In fact, only for the bit where I'm talking, because today's episode is going to be a catch-up on the 2021 show season. So we'll start at Stafford. Already seen some of the highlights from Stafford in an earlier episode. We'll go up to Hull. We'll meet some familiar faces in Hull. Then we'll have a look at Denbigh CBS, which I had the pleasure of judging. The Northwest Fife. Then we'll take a trip north of the border to Scotland. We'll be up there with all the lads in Scotland. Then we had the Canary Council show, the Fife Canary Council show down in Staffs. We moved from there to Walsall. And then finally, in this episode at least, on the Sunday, I took a little trip to Lancashire British Birds, Mules and Hybrid Club. It was only a little trip. I managed to catch some of the winners there and catch up with Ollie. Oh, I missed one. I was judging down at London, the London Fife as well, so we've got that in there. I think it's 9 shows that I've been to every weekend. Saturdays and Sundays over the last couple of months have been very, very busy. Thank you to everyone who's donated to the channel. If you have the opportunity to, on the homepage of our YouTube, you can pop a little donation there. All of your donations go to putting the things together. My thanks to lots of people. Thanks to everyone who's donated. The usual names: Mike Burling, Rob Elkin, Martin Gentles. Cheers, chaps. Thank you also to everyone who has accommodated us on their visits recently. So Shane from Direct Bird Products, always good to see him. Really enjoyed the day there. To Richard Knowles and the London Fancy, fantastic day with Richard and a lot of feedback there. To Keith, of course, and we'll be back again with Keith shortly. Keith Ferry, stunning Norwich. Maybe 1 or 2 in the room here, who knows? And of course to Donald Skinner-Reid. Really enjoyed the time looking at the old and rare varieties with Donald, and even the Gibbozos. We even enjoyed the Gibbozos. So thanks for everyone who said hi at the shows, and a special hi and thank you. And it was incredible to meet you, Lucia, at Walsall. So it was lovely to meet you. I've known your other half, David, for some time. He told me that you were a huge fan of the show, and that my voice echoing around your house made your Sundays. I think he might have been taking the mickey a little bit, Lucia, but it was lovely to meet you and the little ones at Walsall show. So as always, everyone, grab yourself a cuppa. Thank you, Mr. Knowles. Here's my London Fancy mug in its rightful place in the Canary Room. Sit back and, as always, enjoy the show. Well, you might be able to see behind me that I've taken the birds out of their show cages now, and I'm into overwintering preparation. I've done my sort of first selection of the breeding team for 2022. That'll be in a future episode as to how we've got to these numbers and the birds that we've kept. But our first show was a trip to Stafford, the Parrot Society. It's known as the National Exhibition. Took a team there of 14 birds, a couple of class wins, which I was delighted with, and of course, best heavily variegated with a heavily variegated yellow hen, which is just in the cage behind me. She had a good show season. She was in the tickets on most of the occasions. She didn't repeat that feat, unfortunately, but she had a really good show season. At Stafford, we got to see the top bench. Delighted to be on it with the Fifes. We saw Henry Cooper take the Best in Show award. Henry benched some really nice clears and lightly variegated birds throughout the season. And he took the first Best in Show with a wonderful bird. Of course, we caught up with some of our other pals while we were at Stafford. Keith Ferry winning, well, not just Best Norwich, but second Best Norwich, third Best Norwich, Best Norwich overall, Best Canary and Best Bird in Show. So quite a haul for Keith there at Stafford. Our friend Richard Knowles won Best London Fancy, and Donald Skinner-Reid, another good pal now, he took Best Scotch Fancy there as well. So, you know, when I select the visits to go and see people, I'm going to see the best. And that was evident at Stafford. A really, really good show. Next up then was a trip to catch up with a couple of old mates, Steve Cook and, of course, our good friend Dave Rands, the Gloucester man, up in Hull. The show was won by Gary and Johnny Archer, a really nice buff bird that won the show. And the first of so far 5 wins for Lee Westerman, 5 best novices he's had so far this show season, with the Midlands show still to come. The Midlands show will be on later today as this episode goes out. So let's have a quick word now with Lee. So we're here with this young chap who's frankly is built like a front row. So we're not going to argue with him, but remember the name, Westerman. It's like James Bond, Lee Westerman. Lee, your first show. Now I've known Lee for about 12 months. It's his first show. He's kept birds before, but it's his first season with Fifes. And he's not only done well, he's done incredibly well. So it's his first show as a novice, and he's won it. He's won Best Novice, and he's won Best Novice 10% as well. Yeah, so Best Novice clear and Best Novice 10%. And it's a clear buff hen that's won it. Is that right? Yeah. It's an absolute, I mean, we can see it here. It's an absolutely stunning bird. Really, really, really beautiful bird. I got some footage of it earlier on. It stands beautifully, really, really shows itself beautifully. So Lee, what's the secret to your success?
I think it's just getting good birds, you know what I mean? I've got good birds from Gerald, and, you know, if you start with good stock, then you can go all right. It's difficult, there's a lot of good birds here today, so I'm really pleased with all my birds have done well, all done well.
And I think that's the measure, you know, we said earlier on, didn't we, you know, you've got to, wherever you go, you win with grace, and if you don't win, you lose with grace, and you've certainly won with grace today, mate. Listen, really well done. Really, really well done.
I appreciate it.
Really, really good performance with Lee on the day, and the Gloucesters on show there were really, really nice as well, and Gloucester-wise, the show was won by the novice. So let's hear from him now. Not only are the Fifes here today, but there are Gloucesters as well, and this chap in front of me here has got Best Gloucester show and Best Novice Gloucester. It's Ian. Ian, welcome to the Canary Room. It's a very quick welcome to the Canary Room.
Yeah.
You must be absolutely delighted.
I am, yeah. Absolutely thrilled.
Yeah.
So really surprised about that.
Yeah.
Actually, so yeah, it's spot on.
Excellent stuff. No, that's wonderful, Ian. Well, listen, it is, you know, I know I was filming the judges, I was filming it being done, and I know they were speaking very, very highly of it. So whatever you've done, Ian, well done, and keep doing it, and I hope you have a really good season moving forward, mate.
I hope so.
Cheers, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Of course, I couldn't go all of that way and not catch up with Dave Rands. Always a pleasure to see Dave. You know, he's cages in the room here have been incredible this year. Absolutely incredible. So we had a little chat with Dave about the show. We're here, we're in this man's backyard, a familiar face. 30,000 of you have seen this face on the Canary Room. That's how many views the show's done, Dave, and we're gonna come back and see you again. I haven't just sprung that on Dave, I sprung it on him earlier, and to be fair, he did say that we'd be welcome back.
Yeah, you're quite welcome anytime.
Dave, wonderful show, you must be delighted with the turnout.
Yes, it's very good. We couldn't get any more in actually. It's a good turnout, a good show.
Yeah, standing room only in here, and
it's been very good.
some stunning exhibitions, some stunning examples of the Gloucester.
Oh yes, yeah. Our local novice who we brought on, he's doing very well. He's got the best Gloucester, so he's going away happy.
Excellent stuff. That's what it's all about, and a wonderful thing. And what's the show season looking like for you? So moving forward, is it early start?
It's early start, but I think we should do all right. I've won a few classes here, but the better birds have gone up north, so I'm quite happy with things.
Are you waiting for the phone call from up north?
Yes, but they're still judging up there. They're very slow up there.
Like a tentatively expectant father waiting to see how you get on. Well, look, it's been a credit to you and the team here.
Yes, I mean, the 3 or 4 of us, it's not just down to me, it's Steve Cook, Alan Backhouse, you know, they all do a good show.
Yeah, no, credit to you, mate. It's been a wonderful show. Good to see you again, and, and we'll see you in your own. We'll see you in your own shed again soon.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
And after we'd finished chatting to Dave, well, we caught up with Steve Cook, Cookie, who, despite his taste in football teams, he's one of the top administrators in the hobby. We caught up with Steve about the volume of entries and the success of the show. Well, listen, many of you will know this gentleman's face. He's looking quite svelte, actually. It's Steve Cook, who goes to the same barber as me. Cookie is a stalwart of the hobby in the northeast of England. We are at well, Steve, you tell the name of the show, because I can't remember.
It's the Yorkshire, Fife and Gloucester Canary Club.
And Steve is chairman and secretary. Show secretary of the club. And what a turnout today, Steve. You must be delighted.
I'm absolutely delighted. It's a record entry. It's 973. Obviously, if you look around, the Fives are the biggest one. We're clashing with a specialist Gloucestershire up in Carlisle, and that's taken probably 150 Gloucesters away from us. So,
but a phenomenal turnout on the Gloucesters as well, and the Fives. I mean, and the standard. I've just had a look around. The standard of the Fives. I can tell that. I can't tell. I say I can't tell a good Gloucester. I've seen some very good Gloucesters on the road with the Canary Room, but there's a really high standard of Fifes here on show, which is good. Lots of, in the car park, lots of the sort of the big names of the fancy, certainly in the Fife fancy that you've managed to get here, which is fantastic.
Yeah, they come from South Wales, Merseyside.
Talking about me.
Manchester. Up the northeast of England. There was 1 or 2 from Scotland said they wanted to come, but unfortunately they haven't made it, so I don't know.
But phenomenal turnout. We've managed to capture some of the judging on film, so we will carry on throughout the day. But I'm going to leave this gentleman to him, because as show secretary, he's really busy at the moment. So, Cookie, as always, good to see you, mate. Yeah. Apart from your United top, which we're glad we haven't seen. So our first judging trip, that was down in London. Great show. Really, really well put on by Gary McBeath and the team down there. First time London's been back for a while. So good to have it back on the circuit. Bird that won was a blue. Absolutely incredible bird. Benched by James Weir. James shows in partnership with his father. Stunning bird. One of a number of stunning birds that James benched that day. Certainly some of the blues he put on show, but not just the blues. I think he won the green special as well with a really, really nice bird. Our mate Shane from Direct Bird Products, well, he had an incredible show. First time, I think, out as a specialist show. He picked up one of the colour specials, and I think that's given him the bug for Fifes. So that's good. Good to have another good bird man in the Fife scene. I think Terry Hardy won Best Novice. Good to see Terry back up and running again after some poor health. So very good to see Terry there. And a special mention to Donny Dundas. Donny, along with Ryan Wood, had made the trip from Scotland. 9 hours, I think it took them. I brought a number of birds down with them. And that was, rewarded for Donny at least with a couple of specials, I think, on the day. And Donny's had a really, really good season, and he's a lovely, lovely bloke. So we went from London, we went to Denbigh, where we had the pleasure in judging their show. I really like a CBS show. I like to see the varieties of different birds on display. There was, a whole host of native finches, some Norwich, some Yorkshires, British as well, some of the new colours. Just a really, really, really nice show. Lovely feel to it. Really delighted to judge. And we can have a look here at the best border and the best Fife that I picked for the day. And then we were off to the northwest Fife, and we can see on the top table here, Really, really good show. Matt Dando in the novices had a strong show, really strong showing, as did the Kennedy and O'Keefe partnership. They've done really well over the season, actually, Colin and John. And the Best in Show award, well, that went to Adam Kendall, the Kendall Stud, and it was a double for them that weekend. They won a number of specials, and they won the previous day down at East of England border and Fife. So really, really good day for them. They'd taken Best in Show there with a heavily variegated bird. Lovely, lovely little bird. For my part, well, good show. I think I had 3 class wins: the heavily variegated buff cock, the cinnamon variegated buff cock, and the South Green buff hen. A number of other birds high in the cards. So, good, strong, consistent performance. And that would really continue throughout the season as we took a trip north of the border to Scotland. Now, this is one of those weekends, Scotland. I had the pleasure of spending time in Donald Skinner Reid's company on the Sunday morning. The Scottish show and the work that Ryan and the lads have done up there to put this show on, the way it was staged, the way it was presented was incredible. Almost 1,000 birds up there. The show was won by good friends of mine, Tony and Jack. Good friends of mine, I can't remember the names. The Nicholson and Abbott partnership. So Jack Nicholson and Tony Abbott. Really, really strong show from the guys there. Really nice, heavily variegated yellow cock. And we see the bird's not showing itself particularly well here, but it's an absolutely belting bird. Cracking weekend, a must in the calendar for shows moving forward. From the north of the border, well, we went down to the Fife Council show, the inaugural Fife Council show, held in North Staffordshire. Again, delighted with my own team's performance there. 10% buff hen, I think first time it had been out, that was second in its class. Split the Kendall birds, which I was pleased with. Adam and Sharon and the Kendall Stud have been doing really well with their 10% buff hens, so I split their 2, which I was really pleased with. So second there. The show was won a really, really nice typey bird. It was won by an absolute gentleman of the fancy, Geordie Jackson. Really nice cinnamon bird that won the show. And it wouldn't be the first time that a cinnamon would take Best in Show. So really nice bird there. Matt Dando, who came with his kids, God love him. He took Best Novice. Again, really, really nice bird there. So inaugural show, really pleased with that. Really pleased with the performance of my team there. Again, competitive in some really good classes. I think competitive in all of the colours, the clears, the 10%, the heavily variegated, the selfs, and the cinnamons as well. So really, really pleased overall with my show performance there. And then I took a little trip out to Merseyside border and Fife. Now it's only a stone's throw from me, Merseyside border and Fife. I put a small team in there just to support the club, really. I'd give them a little lift, putting the staging up on the Saturday and bench the birds. Good number of boarders out there. We can see the Best in Show here and a number of the border winners. Lovely bird, the border. Really, really is a lovely bird. The show itself was won. Well, the Best Novice went to Lee Westerman, but the show, the Best in Show, and I think 4 or 5 of the top 7 birds were, of course, benched by Gerald Spencer. Gerald won with a variegated fawn. Nice bird, you can see it here, and then we'll see it a little bit later on with the rosettes around it. Really, really nice bird. So another sort of cinnamon bird, this time cinnamon on a white ground, taking the top award at Merseyside. And then from Merseyside, we moved to Walsall. And the first show for Walsall Fife Fancy Canary Club. so took a team there to support that. Really, really pleased with the team's performance. I had won the 10% buff hen class. I was first and second in the heavily variegated buff hen class, third and fourth in the heavily variegated buff cock class, to name but a few. I think I put 18 birds in. I think 15 or 16 of them were in the first 7. So very, very pleased with the overall performance of the birds at Walsall. The show was won by the Grimmer and Hornby partnership, with another cinnamon. Novice bird won. Not showing the greatest of shape at this point of the day. I think, the rosettes and everything else can have an impact of a bird, but, certainly a nice bird. I've seen it a couple of times on the bench before, and a nice bird. And we can get a little look here as well at some of the champion special winners for the day. I had a little nosy poke around while I was there and caught on camera some of the other birds. So we've got some of the winners here. Graham Holdsworth, good mate Graham, winning best boarder. Delighted for him with that. We looked at I think Lawson and Wells with the greenie. Absolute monster of a bird that was. And we can see the really, really nice mutation siskin here that's taken a top prize. So all in all, a really, really good show at Walsall. Over, I think, 1,100 birds benched. So, credit to the whole Walsall team. Incredible venue. Lovely to catch up with Bernard Williams. So a quick chat with Bernard at Walsall as well. So it's good to see him and his lovely lady. And that brought my show season to an end. But not before I'd taken a little trip out to Lancashire. Lancashire British Bird, Mule and Hybrid Club. So I took a little trip to Lancashire. I went out there to pick up a bullfinch hen, to do some swaps on a bullfinch cock bird, and to get another pair of siskins. More on that next time out in the Canary Room. But it was a really, really good show. Really good show. Caught up with Bernard Williams and his son Chris, again, very briefly. Huge congratulations to Ollie Crowther. Caught up with Ollie briefly. He did really well with one of his Northern Bully hens. Really, really well. Took best, I think, Northern with that in show, which is a tremendous performance. He did well with a greenie as well. Kenny Masterman, who we featured on the show, took the top award for the Red Poll. Alan Horey, who we will feature on a future show, won with a beautifully marked bunting hen. Beautifully marked bunting, that bird. Real credit, and his Coalbolts did really well. As did the Coalbolts of Rich Warburton. Rich took the best overall novice in show there. So tremendous bird, that Rich, and he's bred some really, really nice birds this year, Rich, and all credit to him. And obviously he's been rewarded with his success on the bench. The natives, well, we'll have a little look at the top table, some of the other top table here, the greenies and some of the mules, and a stunning hawfinch. And that was the shows. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that whistle-stop tour of the 2021 show season. I had a great time. Great to get a colour special under my belt again, champion colour special. Of course, you always want to win more, but really, really happy with the consistency of the birds and the performance over the year. And across the colours, and it's really not that I needed it, but it's really reinvigorated me. I think not having a show season in 2020, you often wonder whether your birds have moved forward, and they had, and were competitive, very competitive in some really, really big classes. It's not uncommon for the Fifes to be attracting 700, 800, 900, 1,000 birds now in shows, and you've got class sizes in the 30s and 40s. I'll be judging the Midland today as this show goes out. I'm really looking forward to that. I believe there's 1,300 odd birds entered. So that should be a great show. I will try and get some footage of that for the next episode. if you've enjoyed the show, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. We're hurtling toward 12,000 subscribers. It would be great to get there before Christmas. So if you can and you've enjoyed the show, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. We've got a couple more on the road trips planned as well. I'm off to see the now champion border breeder, Nigel Leader. So we've been trying to get a border man, a successful border man or border breeder on the show for some time now. So Nigel's just won the All-British, or Best Novice at the All-British, and had a number of birds on the top table there. He's done really well, so that's something to look forward to. We are going to see Pete Harrison. We had a date in the diary, but Pete's been poorly, so hopefully we'll get that episode in and filmed very, very quickly. We're going to go back to Keith as well and do a selection of Norwich. So we've got more on the roads. We'll be back in the room. As always here, we're making a few little tweaks here and there. Couple of little additions in the room. Might be able to see some of them behind me. Might not. More of that later. If you've enjoyed the show, hit the like, hit the subscribe and share the Living with Jesus out of it. Until next time, everyone, take care.